Hello, and welcome to the Vacay Podcast. We like to say every day is a vacay. At least it is for my co-host Chris Hansen down at the Vacay Lodge. It's the lodge today.
Hey, cabin. I like that. It's got a better wintertime sound to it.
I thought that was a more winter term than, I'm in shorts in the 48, 50 degree weather here in South Carolina. Miami is probably a little nicer right now, but I'll tell you what's nice. We say every day is a holiday, every day is a vacay. And my friend who likes to say your world is yours. We got Sheikhy Chic today. What's up, brother?
What's going on, people? What's going on, family? Ryan, Chris, Vacay, everybody. Glad to be here. Your world is yours.
That's right. Author, Coach, entertainer, man of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, we were joking a minute before the show started. I got to get me a name, Chris. I need a name. I need I don't know, baddie ass. Bad.
I agree. The Ryan Alford Radcast sounds a little boring to me now.
Now I'm just like, Sheikhy.
I mean, you could be Radical Ryan, bro.
Yeah, I guess that's better.
Radical Rye.
Rad Rye. Something
Rad
like
Rye.
that.
Rad Rye.
Swag.
How do we get that name to start? Where did that come from? We got to start there. I mean.
Oh, man. So it all started I was in Sudan. My dad took me to Sudan every year in my childhood from the age of 3 up until the age of 25. Spent 2-3 months at a time out there, North Africa. And one day I'm walking back home, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. I see this branch. And in my mind, I'm like, this is like some Moses staff kind of branch. So I'm just going into the energy, taking the swag on. And I see these guys on the road as I'm walking home. They're screaming to me, Ya Sheikh, Ya Sheikh. So Sheikh is how I say Sheikh in America because most people can't pronounce the Kh, right? So I didn't really give myself the name, but I hear these individuals calling it to me. Now a Sheikh or a Sheikh in Arab culture, Islamic culture is the individual who people go to seek wisdom, to seek interpretation of different theological concepts, to bring them clarity relative to existence, So at the age of 21, my younger self was stepping into this role. I was wearing these prayer beads. They're calling me Sheikh. I kind of looked at it objectively and realized, all right, yeah, these individual guys are saying it, but the universe as these men is giving me this name, which is very fitting to the persona and the things I'm very interested in already. So it's not like I called the name to myself more or less than I was blessed through different people, other people with the name. So that's how Sheikh or Chic came about. The Sheikhy Chic part, I used to do modeling. I was in Rolling Stone magazine, a couple Vogue features, editorials, XYZ. So as I lean more into the modeling and the fashion world, I just made, Johnny. So Chic, Sheikhy. And then I put the CHIC at the end, Sheikhy Chic. It all came together as I evolved as a young man, But there was the spiritual side, but then also the fashion side and the swag side, right?
Swag, bro.
So we're talking about, Radical Rye and whatnot, that's swag.
Yeah.
Vacay,
what I
swag.
heard? I'm gonna I'm a decipherer. The old ways I would have been the hieroglyphic writer or something. You didn't take on the name. The name took on you. That's what I just heard.
Straight up.
So, yeah. And I just came up with Chris's. Bougie Bougie.
Chris's? Bougie Bougie. Where'd that come
Bougie Bougie. Chris is so bougie.
Calm Bougie. Subtle flex.
Yeah. He is.
Try to hold it down, bro.
But let me ask you something.
For sure.
Is it, Sheik, is it nature or nurture? Okay, so let me explain a little bit.
Pertinence to what?
In your aura, was this you were raised this way? You're kind of this was instilled in you, or it grew. So we all have you?
Natural. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious because I get this. I've read enough about you now. Getting here, sitting here, and feeling your vibe, Like I get it
Right.
and I see it, and the energy, the positive energy, and but it always makes me want. I'm always curious. I'm a curious individual. Like is that when you were 8 years old? Was it that way, or have you grown into this?
See, I was always. Thank you for asking that question. Very introspective, very solitudinarian since I was a child. I was raised as an only child, but I can even remember early on, 5 years old, having a birthday party. We lived in a 2-story situation or a 2-floor situation. I'm upstairs in my room by myself, like playing my Game Boy while the whole party is happening for me downstairs. And I remember going downstairs, interacting with all the adults. Then like, nah, I'd rather be back by myself. You know, so the introspective, contemplative self was always there. The inquisitive self, like you used the word curious. I was always a curious kid. I wasn't satisfied to just hear because I said so, or that's just the way it is. Adults are right because they're older. Respect your elders. They're wrong. I need answers. And I was born into a world where I had questions, and I wasn't going to just sit back and accept face value, you know, especially with spiritual stuff, you know, being born Muslim in a Christian dominant society, you know, and all of these relative conflicting beliefs, so they say. But once you get deeper into it, you realize the universal oneness. I had to have reconciliation between the fact that I have people I love that people are telling me are bad people and that they're going to go to a bad place. So I needed the truth. And it started as like existential confusion as a kid, developed into existential clarity as an adult. And I have the answers and I just know the value. So I need to give this to people because I see we all exist and we all want to know and we all want the facts so we can align with the facts so that we could actually live with less friction in life. Stress is an indication of friction against universal law. If that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes 100% sense. Boom.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
You asked the word nature, nurture as well. I'll just finish with predisposed, a lot of academics inside of my gene line, but also nurture. So like the swag aspect, you know, the personality aspect. I'm not just like a super scholastic dude, you know, being raised in Brooklyn, seeing the world from Brooklyn, going to Sudan, seeing Brooklyn from Sudan, being immersed in all these trans-cultural situations, you know, it nurtures what's naturally there in a different capacity, you know?
Yep.
Rare.
Makes a lot of sense.
Everything rare.
Yeah. And, you know, I really resonate with not being the guy that doesn't roll with, that's just the way it is.
Not enough.
No.
I don't think anyone sitting on this is, none of us are go with the rule kind of guys.
Yeah, exactly. No,
it's not enough.
You know, and I'll say this, I'm not a rule breaker. I'm just a rule maker. You know, like I make my own rules.
I heard that, like you're creative.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I'm not here to break your rules and make you mad. I'm just not going to necessarily live my life by them. You know, like
for sure.
I do me, you do you. You know what I mean? I'm never going to
that's what YWY is, right?
Yeah.
Your world is yours. Like your world is yours. Do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. Yeah.
And that's that I think in a nutshell is what's so fucking wrong with a lot of shit going on today is we are too consumed by everyone else's world and not your own fucking world. Like, and it's like, you know, you spend more time and more energy. Sense? Yeah. I just think that everybody gets too like everything being negative and all this stuff because people are consumed with what everyone else is doing and thinking, and instead of like being consumed with themselves. And I'm not saying only being about yourself. I'm just saying like, I'm more worried about what I don't like about what you're saying than being clear on what I'm thinking.
For sure. Have you ever heard the distinction between egotism and egoism? That T makes a difference.
But I want you to say it. Tell us.
So an egotistical individual is more self-absorbed and assumes superiority over others. An egoistical individual isn't really living on the plane of comparison or competition. They're just really preoccupied with themselves. So, and it's not in a self-indulgent manner. Typical geniuses are like that, you know? You live in your inner world and you're focused on your evolution. You see other people on their paths. You know how to recognize their swag, their authenticity, their power, their uniqueness without it feeling inflictive upon your own self-image, you know? So like you're saying, it's like being able to dive into yourself and living by your rules and not being preoccupied with what everybody else is doing and putting yourself behind the 8 ball of comparison where you're always going to be playing catch up to some ideal which is outside of yourself, which you don't really know as close as you can because we only know ourselves as close as we know ourselves, right? We're the closest person to ourselves. So this perception we're creating around everybody, or people tend to, and these comparisons are biased in the first place. So focus back on you, grow and evolve. Live by your standard, you know?
100%.
Egoism versus egotism. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to spread some egoism. I mean, you know, like I just because work on yourself and like get that figured out. But people are just, I don't know. It's just kind of the consumed with everything else around.
What have you been working on these days?
Me?
Yeah.
You know, I have no rear view mirrors, you know? So I have no, and so I don't look back. I just stay forward. And so I always am thinking a week in advance, a year in advance, and forever in advance. So like, I'm not worried. I get the shit done that has to get done today, but I'm worried about what's going to impact next week, what's going to impact next year, and then what's going to impact me forever. If you focus on
what domain of impact?
What domain of impact?
Yeah, for sure. Like what are you concerned in the next time scale will be impacted? However, like what exactly are you concerned with being impacted? I mean, what are your future concerns?
All I worry about is my circle.
Yeah.
My
for sure. But like friends, particularly, what are the qualities that you're concerned about?
Oh, what qualities of life?
Yeah, what qualities are you concerned with protecting and seeing grow in the future? You know, we all have a vision.
All I care about is I only need one thing to have control over everything I do when I want to do it. And you know what empowers that?
Do you feel like
money? And I mean, so people go, oh, I want to be rich. Oh, I want to have these things. Sure. Oh, I want to do this. Well, yeah. But what I want is to do what I want when I want. And so everything else is a ways to the means to the way. And
yes, sir.
Because freedom is the most important thing to me. Because when I have freedom, everything else comes.
Does everything you want to do align with your truest best interests?
Everything that I want to do.
Yeah. Being able to do what you want to do, right? That's what we all seemingly perceive as the ideal. But sometimes we want to do things that are against our own future best interests.
Oh, of course.
Quantitative, qualitative best interests. So is being able to do what you want to do the key, or is being able to be what you want to be the key? And understanding what you truly want to be is very important, correct?
Yeah, if I didn't have, but I have clarity on all that, you know? Okay. So,
all right. So what do you want to be?
Yeah.
The vision, bro.
I'm the greatest dad, the
swag,
success in my own, like, I know what the ultimate success looks like for me. And again, when you have ultimate control over your time, that's success. Because you don't have it without wealth. So there's certain things that come with that. And, you know, ultimate dad, ultimate father, ultimate husband. And then, you know, I want to have a small sort, like I worked for 400 person companies and now have a smaller company, want to keep it small. And, you know, I want to take care of a small company and family, friends, and, you know, like all those things. So I have kind of ultimate clarity on that. It's just, you know, the statement though of is every day perfect towards that end? That's, that we would not be human if that was the answer was true.
For sure. Maintaining integrity. I'd say I learned about an idea of conscience congruency and living with that best ideal. So we all are on a spectrum. There's our best possible self and our totally crashed out worst possible self. Who are you closer to? And if you are far away from the crash out self, aka the burnout, everything collapses, everything's trash. Are you actually as close as you should be to the best possible self? I'm talking about picture perfect Brian at his most uncompromised self. And that goes for Chris. That goes for everybody out there. And just getting to that state of honesty, because I mentioned doing what you want to do is one thing. Being what you want to be is another. And I made reference with Chris to a book that really helped me clarify this understanding. It's called To Be or To Have by Eric Fromm. And in there, he talks about the acquisitiveness of society, contemporary society. And we're talking about money primarily as the basis that liberates the individual from time constraints, time-space constraints, also thought constraint, right? And it puts you into a space where you now afford a mental breath so that you can now channel your energies, time, space, and energy into development of your higher self. So money is important, and that's what I hear you're communicating. I'll never denounce that. Nothing can take place for money in the area that it works. Nothing will exchange itself. But once we have a $1 fillion, right? Then what? Where's satisfaction? Who are we? What are we doing with that? And how can we facilitate that? That becomes my question, right? I put myself in the mind state of, and for everyone out there, obtain as much as you can. But then we look at ourselves. I put out this message of being sober, fit, enlightened, and rich, right? And these are sober, fit, enlightened are qualitative aspects of the human experience. And I like to get people to understand themselves so that they can elevate their quality of existence as opposed to focusing on quality of life. I'll draw out the distinction. Quality of life may involve quality of food, quality of consumption, quality of environments, beautiful homes, beautiful landscapes. What about our internal environment? Our personal self-experience, which is what I would define as consciousness, the experience of the self. Have you ever thought about these types of things? I don't want to go like too deep. If it's too deep, let me know.
It's not too, I don't know that I didn't bring my brown couch today to lay on. So, but I don't know that, I think about all this shit, but I also believe in yin and yang, and that you talk about being your perfect self or your worst self. I'm a firm believer that if you're at the end of either one, you're in a bad place. Because if you think if you're at the perfect place, then you ain't there. And if you're at the other end, we know the issues. And I need both pulling in both directions, because I think that's sort of what the experience of life and the journey of life is, because I don't think we value one end or the other without both. You don't know joy if you don't have pain. Yeah. You don't know joy if you don't have pain.
For sure. I love this
I'm not
conversation.
saying I want to bring it on I don't want, don't get me wrong. If we're talking about worst self and best self, I much prefer to be on the right side of that, of course. But I've also lived long enough to experience both sides of it, and being where I thought was both ends of it. And somewhere in the middle is generally where the magic happens.
For sure. I love this conversation because it opens the question for everyone who defers to the concept of balance being a rationalization, brown chair, rationalization, defense mechanism for whatever habit patterns they may have, which may be self-limiting, self-sabotaging. So balance or equilibrium? Balance seems like a distribution of to the left, to the right, of an allocation. Equilibrium is more of a harmony, right? So even with the idea of perfect, I wouldn't even say perfect exists, because perfect would also imply finality. I mentioned that in one of my books, The Best Kept Secret. And there is no final point. Even the universe has never been final in itself. Otherwise, the whole clock would stop and it would freeze, right? It's always been evolving and growing and becoming more, increasing in complexity. And that's what we do as humans. And it's fair to understand equilibrium opposed to balance, because without the sunshine, the plants wouldn't grow, but also without the rain, the plants wouldn't grow, and without the right atmospheric conditions. So the presence of certain elements will always be there, but establishing an equilibrium that's on an increase. How do you feel about that?
I feel like Abe Lincoln said it best. Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Fair to say. For everybody out there, I want y'all to think, is it really balance, or are you establishing reasons to not be your best self? I want to see everybody prosper, you know, and we all have we have a finite amount of time in this existence. And I find it that when people are choosing to do what they want, as opposed to being what they want, because the individual, most people, when they drink, they don't really want to drink. They're seeking satisfaction. Most people, when they defer to a substance for an induced state of self-experience. But these things have measurable deleterious effects upon the physiological constitution, emotional constitution, and they corrode at the self over time. You know, and moderation is one thing, but why even introduce something that takes a step backwards as time moves forward, right? So there's that like selfish gene that they talk about. And I just feel the difference between pleasure and satisfaction is that we've often confused the two. We've had pleasurable situations that weren't satisfying, correct? Have you ever ate some food that you thought was going to satisfy you in a certain way? It was pleasurable, but you didn't find satisfaction.
Taco Bell.
I was having McDonald's on my mind the other day.
Yeah, I ate some,
like serious.
I ate some Doritos late Saturday night, and it was pleasure and pain on Sunday.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I think the universal desire for all of us is a higher degree of satisfaction. That's that freedom, you know? And that goes back to not simply doing what you want to do, but being what you want to be. And it's harder to be something than to simply do. We can choose amongst the list of things that we have that we'd like to do. We'd like to be sober. We'd also like to drink. Sometimes I think about, I love to have a smoke, you know? I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to party. I used to, be in the night scene, you know? And sometimes it flashes by. I do want to do that. Wouldn't be satisfying. What's more satisfying? And that's my goal as just a guide. I just have to reflect these ideas back to stimulate thought within yourself. Don't take anything I say for face value. We're not even at odds. We're just discussing ideas, right, Ryan?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the Vacay podcast is. Bringing the alternative to the mainstream.
For sure.
That's right.
What are your thoughts, Chris?
So, I couldn't go any further in the episode today without talking about our favorite sponsor, Caldera Labs. This is premium men's skincare. And look, I need all the secret weapons I can get. I'm 46 this year, and, these fine lines are starting to show. But the only thing keeping me fine is Caldera Labs. Skincare, got face lotion, and this body bar. Let me tell you, it lathers up perfect. But in all seriousness, you have to rub in all the lotions, and then you use this stuff called the serum. This might be the serum of the gods. I'm telling you, like, this stuff is awesome. I never thought you could have the glow in the morning. I was like, everybody talks about that. I watched the women's commercials. They talk about this, the glow they get. And I'm like, that doesn't happen. But no, it does happen with Caldera Labs. All natural ingredients, perfect for the skin, and it makes you look younger. I mean, I feel at least 5 years younger. I mean, we're making no claims here, but I'm telling you, this is the best skincare I've ever used. I only promote what I support and what actually works. And if you use Rad Ryan, you'll get 20% off. If you go to calderalabs.com and you learn more about their products, I'm telling you, you will thank me for it. And look, if you're young, you need to get ahead of the game so you avoid the wrinkles. If you're my age, you're just trying to hide a few. And if you're a little older, you're trying to hide a lot. And let me tell you, this will help. Makes your skin feel great. Mine's never felt better, never looked better. And it's all thanks to Caldera Labs, the official skincare partner of the Radcast.
I mean, I completely agree with you because I think everything you're saying, I think back, like when I was drinking, partying, everything, it's like at that time, that's what I wanted to do. But was it the best thing for me? No, it was pleasure, not satisfaction. It was a quick hit. It's like everything you're saying, I think about like getting up early, going to the gym, all that stuff. It's like, do I really want to do that? Not necessarily, but do I feel real satisfaction from it? Yes. Like waking up early, I don't feel pleasure in that moment. As opposed to like, if I drink this drink right now, I'll feel pleasure in this moment. But I feel real satisfaction when I get up and do the shit that I don't. And that's where I'm like, right, I'm hearing both you guys. Like, because to me, freedom is the ultimate success, right? Kind of Ryan saying, do what I want to do. But then what you said, as you said it, I thought about it. Sometimes it's the shit I don't want to do that is creating the life I want. And I know we all can resonate with that. I mean, especially, Ryan, I know running the businesses, you deal with that shit all the time. It's like you deal with shit you don't do. But I do think as a society, we've gotten so used to chasing pleasure and quick dopamine instead of, all right, what do I need to do to become the version of me that I want to do? That's get the fuck up, go to the gym, exercise, not partying. It's like a long-term investment, really, to simplify it the easiest. But I do know to be the highest form of me involves a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily want to do, but have to.
We all feel that, you know?
Yeah.
You do it in the moment. You think you're going to get satisfied of the pleasure. There's a borderline regret that's intrinsic to the act, you know? And if there's a conflict within, then we have that negative self-experience. So true freedom wouldn't even be a matter of outward activity. It's more about inward freedom. And when we mention pleasure versus satisfaction, there's nothing you can consume that will truly satisfy you. You ever felt like, that Kanye song, Can We Get Much Higher? Or no amount of money, no amount of food. So satisfaction is more of like an inward to outward, a spiritual situation.
Yeah, it's 100% inward. The problem is people don't know, they either don't know what satisfies them, or again, they've been conditioned to think that satisfaction comes from certain things, but they haven't experienced it enough, or they're fooling themselves, some combination of the two. Because I think, social media and the world and everything else it glamorizes a lot of things that just aren't reality. And it glamorizes pleasure versus satisfaction for sure.
Yes.
And
everybody out there, meditate on these ideas. This is a wellspring of knowledge. But to the viewers, to everyone with us today, ask yourself, what do you seek? And what would truly be satisfying to you? Think about how you feel after you simply keep your word to yourself, opposed to when you say you won't do a thing, and then when the more effortful choice comes to its time to be made, it's time to make that more effortful decision, and you cop out for that more effortless path, see how you feel about yourself. And back to the idea of consciousness being self-experience, the experience of yourself, you're saying society is programmed to seek pleasure, and it's escapism. We've all heard escapism before. And what are we escaping? The negative self-experience. Right? So live in alignment with your own word and try your best to just never want to feel how you feel on the other side of breaking your word. And I think you'll start to see the difference between satisfaction and pleasure. Because that moment or eternity, that moment or longevity, and then you'll become something completely different. Ryan, what's one thing your soul is telling you to do? Mine is like,
I didn't eat breakfast, so I mean, I kind of want like a big greasy cheeseburger right now. But you know, like
that's your soul telling you that? Or is that like your stomach, bro?
I know. I got a question for you.
What's up, homie?
I mean, all of these types of thinking get real close towards religion to me. And it's not really totally. But religion is preaching for you what you should. You know, every religion is telling you what you should be and who your higher, you know, everyone has a higher power, whatever that might be. Mm-hmm. I always find it interesting that, you know, where the line gets drawn in, you know, the world is yours. You're directing people to go to this better place. But if you aren't telling people what the destination is, then how do they find it?
You are the destination, and you are what you are to discover. So it's a path of self-discovery. And joy is the destination. Joy is above pleasure. Joy is above happiness. Joy is a state of being that comes from a high level of self-satisfaction within. And integrity, having a highly integrated sense of self. And to comment on religion, the thing is, your world is yours. We all have what they conceive as free will. And it became a part of my awareness that there's no other celestial object. And if we are in a universe and we exist within the universe, that makes us objectively celestial objects ourselves. Made of atoms, made of stardust, made of the same foundational substance that all things are, just rearranged chemically differently, atomically differently, structurally differently. Same primary substance. We're the only celestial objects, humans are, that we know of, that can actually deviate out of alignment with their intrinsic nature. The sun can never deviate from what it's designed to be. The air can never, even the water can never. No celestial the planets, they move with unerring precision. So the idea of free will is what we're talking about. And that's what the universe has given us, the choice. And we must suffer our own choices. And that's the thing. So there's no way for anyone to impose a strict set of rules, because in the end, you do have free will. And whenever we do feel an outside force seeming to want to control us or impose constrictions upon our free will, that's when we rebel even further, you know, just to demonstrate that we are free willing beings. Last note on free will, I also noticed free will is the ability to limit oneself. Ever thought about that? The tree cannot stop itself from growing. The fish cannot stop itself from being a fish and moving along its nature. Sun can't. No other entity in the entire cosmos has the freedom to limit its own growth. So then we enter a state of metacognition, which is thinking about the thought. It's not just looking at free will, but now we observe the phenomena of how and why we would limit our best expression. And it goes back to that concept of self-discovery. Religion attempts to teach through symbols, ethics and principles that can be applied to the conduct of the individual. At the end of the day, anytime we step out of alignment with our highest conduct, we incur some penalty. And it becomes evident on the physical plane. Whether or not we eat too much and our body appears a certain way, we ingest certain chemicals, smoke, drink, etc. over time, there's a corresponding effect. So once you get back into alignment with your highest principle of conduct, it's really the ability to free yourself. Freedom is a very open-ended topic, but you have the ability to limit your own growth with free will, or you have the ability to unlimit yourself and become so much more. So I think that's the paradox. Like religion no one can actually force anyone to be anything. And the fact that we do have the free will leaves it up to us to become what we want. But we still must suffer our own repercussions of choice. And I think that's the karmic path. You know?
What defines
your
truth?
world is yours.
What defines truth?
What defines truth?
Because, I mean, you know, a lot of things, I've read some of your stuff for all seekers of truth. Whose definition?
Go ahead, sir.
Whose definition of truth? And
so we are all truths unto ourselves, but the definition of objective versus subjective is that which doesn't depend on the mind to exist. So I know that I've become less self-absorbed, that when I do die, you all will still exist. There will be a world without me. The world isn't dependent on my feelings, how I feel things should be. There are objective laws. We're on the 30th floor. I can't defy gravity. There are more hidden layers to the laws of life that there are. So it's just understanding that the universe, some people call it the higher power, people call it God, that which sustains all harmony speaks through these objective laws and these universal laws. And we incur penalty when we conduct ourselves out of alignment. What is truth? That which is ultimate, infinite, and unconditional. Best thing I can say. And true for all. You know, we all have our subjective experiences within an objective universe. Most people feel that their subjective experience is the objective experience. And once we become self-aware enough, you realize, no, the world doesn't revolve around me. The world isn't happening in me. I'm happening in a world. And then it shifts a different perspective of how you want to conduct yourself. You know?
Yep.
But if I touch fire, you touch fire, we both get burned.
Yeah.
So there's something happening there that's constant and consistent and immutable, no matter how we feel about it. That's just the simplest demonstration we can provide on the visible, tangible, material level. But things that are seen are made from things that are unseen. Metaphysical energies produce material results. I don't want to space everybody out tonight. I love you all. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Truth is truth. And you know what the truth is. Stop playing around. You know, it's in your heart. It doesn't stop. And every time you step away from it, you're living false. And I think the satisfaction comes from knowing that you're living true. Try it out. Takes more effort, but anything success that's worthy of attainment, it's worthy because there's effort involved. So go be your champ and go succeed and be more and see how you feel. The more you put the effort in, you know?
Yeah. And
Does that answer your question, right?
I'm asking for the audience, not for myself per se. Because if I was listening, I'm asking questions that I would think I would want to know as I was listening.
I see you.
Yeah. And I think the trouble is even when I become objective and not subjective, I have to live in a world with subjectivity so that it's, that's the crazy thing of how it all balances together. It's like, because until everyone was objective, then we can't all live at that space of truth. So, you know what I mean?
Earth wouldn't be Earth if there weren't lessons to be learned. And that would create the perfect world, and we wouldn't know that we exist. So without pain, that goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Without pain, we don't know that we exist. Without perplexity, we don't know that we exist. And through pain is how we derive lessons. We step into conscious. So back to what we said at the beginning, preoccupy yourself with your growth. Everyone, every individual. Instead of focusing on what others aren't doing, be it yourself and experience it as yourself for yourself. And then you'll just slowly but surely realize everyone's on their karmic paths. You can only help who you can help to the extent that they would like to be helped. But Earth wouldn't be Earth if we all couldn't do what we wanted to do and learn the lessons from the difference of doing what we want, being what we want, doing what we want, doing what we should, moral, doing what we ought, personally intrinsic. You know what you ought to do. I know I ought to do a few things today. Good word, ought.
I like ought. I was
feel
just
like
thinking when you said that, I was going, it's so funny. You paused when you said it because you're like, whoa, that's a good word. And I was thinking that exact thing when you said that. I was like, ought.
Yeah, I ought to do this. Yeah, I definitely ought to do this. It's in my best interest. Chris?
All I keep hearing in my head, and Ryan, I know you and I have talked about this from like a business marketing standpoint, is like, you got to build the well before people will come drink the water. Like act as if, be who you want to be, like you don't all of a sudden become some successful business guy because you wake up one day. It's getting up every day, putting in the work, studying, dealing with hard situations, whatever. It's like, you're not the man until you just start being the fucking man. Like, I mean, all this, I don't know why the last 2 months this has been hitting me so hard. Just like, you don't become the person after you make it. Like, it comes because you already are that person.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can feel and think all you want, but there's one big thing that's got to happen. It's called doing.
Right. I can put on a fucking basketball jersey and say I'm in the NBA, but
I can go to all these pump-up sessions, the masterminds, and I can go do all this stuff. I can hear all these things, and I can think all this stuff. But you got to do that shit.
Man, don't talk about it. Be about it. It's like it's just straight up. I feel like as a society, and I've been a victim of this myself. Like, oh, well, once I hit this goal or get this money in the bank or whatever, like, dude, none of that shit. I mean, we've hit it so many times today. It's all internal. Yeah. That reflects in the external. It's not
and I know
change the external than internal.
I know my own blind spots. Like, I'm self-aware enough. None of us are perfect, but like, I'm self-aware enough to know that sometimes I'm just making shit happen, that I don't reflect enough on wisdom of guys like Sheik. Like, I know that there needs to be a little more to the whirling dervish. I mean, like,
no shit. That's why when I found his Instagram, I was like, yo, this fucking guy's making me think about some shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and so there's a balance there on both ends. Sometimes it's just people getting up and going and doing it. And like, I don't have that problem, but sometimes my problem is, wait, am I doing everything for the right reason?
Right.
And
I know as we're sitting here, it's like, I can think of 5 things I need to change, whether it's my diet, my sleep habits, like I quit soda a week and a half ago. Like, I mean, we talk about health and wellness every week, and I'm drinking fucking Coca-Cola with my dinner every night. Like, And that's where you're saying, like, I know if I'm in my truth, like, I know this is probably something I should give up. Like, and every time I go drink it, now that thought's in the very back of my head, just gnawing at me, like, bro, you're in, especially for someone like me, coming from where I come from, like having a Coca-Cola is like, whatever, right? I've killed much bigger demons, but problem is I've got the clarity and the truth now where it's just like, I know there's enough data or just paying attention to my body. This doesn't resonate with me anymore. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I know too much to keep ignoring that little voice in my head. Same as you need to work out today. I don't feel like it. That same shit. It's like, yeah, it's literally, it's those two voices in the head. Which one am I going to roll with? The one of truth or the one that keeps feeding me the lies that keep me comfortable and justifying my bullshit?
If I may say, there's such a heavy, damp tendency to have an energy put towards self-love. Like, where's the joy, right? Where's the joy in knowing that, like, I'm just this individual who keeps their word? There's not even a debate. Like, I'm not even waking up. I genuinely don't even have it in me. I'm like, I wake up in the morning. Yep, did that. I did what I ought to do. I did what I ought to do. I became what I ought to be. Yeah, I went to the gym. Yeah, of course. Like, you know, there's no dread. There's no uphill feeling. There's just this because there's no desire or affinity for that lesser state anymore. You know, like, I think there's so much hypercritical, you know, sergeant. People want that sergeant energy. And I'm like, what happened to the joy of fully just experiencing life at the highest quality possible, as your highest quality self possible? Not even for anyone else, not extrinsically motivated, but for the intrinsic value of experiencing your life for yourself, as your highest self. Like, you know, there's no incentive other than that. Like, where's the joy, guys? So when I was younger, I used to be made fun of for being skinny. I used to wear t-shirts at the pool. I was very insecure about that, underweight. You know, now I've take my shirt off in Gold's Gym Venice, and people are like inspired by what they see. And it's not that I'm motivated by that. It just shows and reflects that I'm at a new place and I feel very comfortable in my skin. And back to for me, when I was on nicotine or any other substance for that matter, I knew I hated that. And I didn't like myself. Every time I was not wanting to do it, I'd be called and neurologically inclined. And I felt like a slave, you know, to this substance, to this thing outside of myself. I didn't have a good self-image from that. So freeing myself from that and having that self-mastery, you know, getting the enlightenment, getting the clarity, walking around knowing who you are, where you are, when you are, why and how you are, you know. And then lastly, we talk about money. I don't ever believe in being enlightened and poor or thinking that having no money is noble at all. Like, nah, let's be sober, fit, enlightened, and rich and have fun being our greatest expression. You know, drop the need for any hard energy, disciplinary force, or because that goes back to what you were saying about free will, or what we were talking about earlier. When an outside force is imposed upon us, it creates an adverse effect. We have an aversion to that. So why don't we just learn to love being great for the sake of being great and embracing that and not having any weird stigmas about self-appreciation where it doesn't affect or have to infringe upon another person's self-appreciation, right? Well, we can just love ourselves as ourselves for ourselves at the highest level. You know, Ryan at the highest level, Chris at the highest level, me at everyone at the highest level, and just so enjoying that. I just believe in the joy of everything, you know? So, you know, everyone out there, love yourself enough to love yourself, because that's just what you're supposed to do, you know? And don't have this dread energy. Be grateful that you're alive. Wake up. I get to be great. I have my family. I have my friends. You guys are now in my network. I can be more for you. And I enjoy that. I enjoy being valuable, one, to myself. And then, like you said, filling up the well and being valuable to every thing that interacts with me, every person, every living situation. You know, just being a walking offering of value everywhere you go. Undisputable value. You know, everyone. Level up, evolve. Don't feel weird about it. Don't let the haters hate. Elevate.
Facts.
Period.
And I think the last thing I would say is I think some people struggle with it, Sheik. I think with getting to like that place or doing those things, they're so far removed from their best self, like free from drugs and alcohol, free from like all those infetternments and all those things. They're so far removed from their perfect selves, they don't remember how good it could be, or they've never experienced it. And I think,
true,
you can't want for something that you don't know or haven't experienced completely, and I think that's what has to be unlocked. That's why they need to work with you. That's why we're going to tell them how to do that. How they keep up with you, brother.
I will get you in the best shape of your life if you just simply follow instructions. Superior conduct, superior instructions creates a superior byproduct of an individual. It's just what the universe does. You can reach out to me for one-on-one coaching, mentoring, training at Sheikhy Chic, SheikhyChic on Instagram. You can Google that. Yourworldisyours.com is my website. You can apply for coaching there. Hit me up directly in the direct messages, or even I'll give you my phone number, 310-987-3447. Hit me personally on a text message. Be a real person. Don't be weird. And I'll just be that gateway because I can't design you. You already know who that is. Picture it right now. You got it. Now let's get you there. Easy.
I love it.
5 books out too. If you need to go get the books, they're on the website. Your World is Yours. Advancing Individual, How to Not Be Poor, Believe and Manifest, 99 Superior Affirmations that will most certainly alter the course of your destiny, and The Best Kept Secret. Go check them out. Audio books are available as well on the website. I make it easy for you. Grow.
Love it. Hey guys, don't manifest this. Go do it. Don't think about it. Do it. Go to the website. Yeah. Go follow Sheik. Hit him up in the DMs. You know where to find us. thevacaypodcast.com. Chris and I are both on Instagram. You can find our links everywhere. We got those blue checks next to us before you could buy it. Hey, you know where to find us. We know where to find you. Thank you, Sheik. We appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you all as well. Thank you for having me. Legendary.
We'll see you guys next time on the Vacay Podcast.